Good morning, students. Hope you all are fine. And today we are going to continue our literature chapter 7. We have to start. Chapter is The Girl on the Train by Ruskin Bond. And here in this chapter, what has been shown there, the man on the train and the girl with the pretty face have only one thing in common. But what was that one thing? Will they ever know? What is it? So, after the reading of this chapter, we will find out. Here is the description or scene of the train is shown there. Riding on a train and sitting in a compartment that provides the setting of the story. The eyes are not with the writer. Okay, here in this short story, we will read about Ruskin Bond, an Indian writer, and the narrator listens as a couple send their daughter off on the train to visit her aunt. Okay, so here Ruskin Bond have created the theme of kindness, determination, independence, desire, perceptions, and confidence. So, in this short story, the narrator is going to explain what were the incident took place throughout the story. And throughout the story, the narrator shows kindness to the young women in the compartment. Means they both were uh, boarding the train. One was the woman and other was the author. Here, Ruskin Bond compliments her when he can, which is somewhat ironic considering that he cannot see her. The fact that he considers that the woman has an interesting face may also be important as it suggests that the narrator is attempting to appeal the woman's intellect rather than to her vanity as most men would do. If anything, throughout the story, the narrator is flirting with the young women, which may explain as to why the narrator is acting so kind to her. And he himself is a young man, and it would only be natural for him to be interested in a young woman. And it may also be the significant that on that stage of the story does the narrator allow the facts that is physically challenged to get the way of what it would like to do. So here in this story, the narrator was already sitting in the compartment where the girl was the girl who has shown there in this story came later, and her parents came there to see of her. Where was the girl going? The girl was going to her aunt. And in this chapter, total conversation of the narrator as well as the girl has been shown there. They both were sitting in the same compartment. And here, the reader suspects that mirrored by the narrator's outlook on her life. The narrator was having a different kind of aspects towards the life. In this story, it is also noticeable that the narrator is somewhat self-conscious when he is in the compartment, and he does not wish to let the young woman that he is blind. The woman was asking some questions, and the women forced the narrator to look outside for the natural beauty from the window compartment. But the narrator kept on going the beautiful scene himself. Actually, he was blind with eyes. And Ruskin Bond here using the other senses to this story. Means he seemed that he has noticed everything there. So after that, here the favorable perception which Ruskin Bond had of the young women, and it is as though the narrator is attending to paint a picture of the young woman for himself, but that was the picture totally based on her eyes because he was blind. On that conversation, the woman for himself based says that he can smell, and this could be important as the narrator appears to be compensating for his inability to see, seems to be doing so successfully. It is also interesting that the young woman, just like the narrator, is attempting to hide her blindness too. That means we came to know what was the common thing between the two, both were blind. When the narrator asks the young woman to describe the landscape to him rather than admitting she is blind, she tells the narrator to look for himself. This may be important as it highlights the same independence that the narrator is showing throughout the story. The young woman may be blind, but she does not allow it to be a stumbling block or the topic of the conversation, because they both were hiding their identities with each other. That was the similar thing between the two. The determination that the narrator shows in the story is mirrored by the young women. The end of this story is also very interesting. Bond appears to be introducing further irony into the story. It is only after the young woman has left that the narrator discovers that she too was blind. Even effort that the narrator has made to hide his own blindness has been in vain. The young woman would not have known he was blind regardless of the narrator's actions. It might also be important that the narrator does not change his opinion of the young woman when he is talking to the man in the compartment. Rather than agreeing with the man and suggesting that the young woman was pretty, the narrator sticks to his original appraisal that the young woman had an interesting face. Though, ironically, he was unable to see the young woman's face. By sticking to his remarks, it is possible that Bond is suggesting that the narrator is confident not only about what he has said to the women, but he may also be confident about who he himself is. And despite being physically challenged, the reader suspects that the narrator has the ability to live a full and varied life. So something that is noticeable by the fact is traveling on his own. Means they both were physically challenged, but they both were individually traveling. Bond, Ruskin Bond again possibly highlighting to the readers how independent the narrator is, and the women also, as they completed their journey. So it is the story up to here. Have a nice day.